Hello, everybody, and welcome to our webinar, AI Simplified, How to Turn Interest into Impact. We're very excited you're joining us today. There's a lot of excitement right now around AI, but with all the noise, it can be difficult to distinguish what's actually valuable and how to actually have good business outcomes out of it. So today, our goal for this session is to break down things in a simple and most importantly, in a practical way. We will be recording our session today, and if you have any questions along the presentation, feel free to put them in the chat, and we'll go back to them at the end of the session. So let's get started. Before we dive in, I want to briefly introduce you to the people you'll be hearing from today. I'm Katarina. I'm the webinar host, and I'm a business analyst consultant at SVA. We also have Jacob McClendon, our director of analytics and principal, and Jeremy Perulian, our AI solutions architect. A little bit about SVA. So we are a business and technology consulting firm. We offer a broad set of services focused on helping organizations leverage technology, data, and process improvements to achieve business outcomes. Some of our main practice areas are listed in the middle: business evolution, business applications, data analytics and visualization, life sciences, and AI enablement. And our overarching goal is to drive digital transformation by organizing your data, visualizing the information clearly, and enabling your business to move forward with confidence. A little bit more about our data and analytics practice. So our goal is to gain clarity by connecting the dots across your organization. And we do that through four different pillars: the data strategy, which is ensuring that your goals connect directly to your business goals, so we're solving the right problems; data architecture, which we help you unify your data and make your data accessible across the organization; data visualization, so you can have clear visibility into what your data is telling you; and last but not least, the AI enablement, and this is what we'll focus today on. Throughout all of this, we partner with you long-term, adding new use cases and helping you grow as the technology evolves. Now I'll pass it over to Jeremy.
Thanks, Katarina. And thanks everybody for joining today. We're excited to dig in. Just for anybody who showed up late, I just want to remind you that if you have any questions, you can go ahead and put them into the chat, and we'll be answering some questions at the end. So today, what we are wanting to bring to you guys is really four key things in terms of moving from interest to impact with AI. The first thing that we want to do is gain a clear understanding of why AI matters, because I know we're hearing a lot about it, but really, where do we go with it? Next, we'll see how it's applied across a couple industries, and then we'll learn some practical next steps of how to move from interest to impact. So let's talk about the AI landscape. It's really impossible to go through the day without hearing something about AI. AI has truly arrived. And whereas just a few years ago, AI was something that the majority of people maybe knew about, today it's a tool that everybody is using. It's more accessible than ever. You've got the generative AI tools like OpenAI and Microsoft really establishing themselves, but then you've also got vendors who are embedding AI directly into their platforms. With that, the innovation cycles are accelerating. So you've got significant AI advancements occurring every 3 to 6 months. And really, there's minor advancements happening monthly, almost weekly now. And with that, the pressure to adopt is increasing as organizations really don't want to be left behind. They know that they need to do something with it, and they know that there's a lot of really cool innovations happening. Now, with that, we do see quite often that although there's the pressure to adopt, not every organization knows the best way to do that within their organization. First of all, leaders may not have a strategy on the best way to select the right vendors, the best way to roll that out to their people. You might notice that your organization may not be set up for AI, whether that's your people are a little bit skeptical about it, or your processes are manual and scattered, and there's not a great way to systematically implement it. It could also be that your data systems aren't ready to handle certain AI pipelines. And in the end, in order to invest in any new technology, there needs to be clear business value that is returned. And while, again, we're hearing a lot about AI, I think a lot of people are having trouble really being able to quantify their ROI for what does AI bring into my business. So really the thesis for today is how do we move from this interest and this understanding that AI is important to actually being able to have it impact our business? And to start, what we would like to do is align on what AI actually is and what it can do within your organization. So when we talk with organizations who are wanting to start with AI, I think what we notice is there's a couple of different lenses in which they're looking. The first and most obvious one is generative AI, right? You've got your ChatGPTs, you got Copilots, and you've got other players as well with Claude and Perplexity. Well, we know that we can get use out of being able to ask a model questions and have it generate something for us, whether that's natural language, image, audio, or video. But organizations also might be looking for true automation. They might have processes that are manual and time consuming and really error prone because of maybe some human um, elements. And so they might want to automate those processes. There could also be augmentation. You've got super valuable data within your organization. How do we maybe use AI to identify those trends and recommend actions earlier? And lastly, I think not to be forgotten is true robotics, right? When people think of AI, they might think of machines, and that's something that organizations consider, or certain organizations consider when they think of AI. So with this, I think just to fully simplify it, AI is technology that lets computers think and learn like humans do. We're not going to go through all of the fundamental definitions around it, but really it's just trained algorithms on large amounts of data that help you find patterns. And so when organizations think of generative AI, automation, augmentation, and robotics, those are all valid, but they're again slightly different flavors of where AI might help within that process. So why does AI matter? Well, again, we know why it matters. I'm sure all of you have been using AI, and I'm sure that you've tried to get it to write your emails clearer or summarize your meeting notes, and you can see the value in the time that it returns. So on a personal level, obviously AI leverages knowledge beyond one person's capacity, but it really does do a great job of freeing us up to focus on what matters the most. Now, organizationally, when you scale beyond one person's usage of AI, what you start to see is that as organizations hit a critical mass of knowing how to leverage AI and how to work with it starts to spark ideas. Oh, I might have certain processes that are manual. Maybe I can figure out how to get AI to operate there. And what that does is it unlocks strategic opportunities across your organization, whether that's embedding AI in your products or service lines, or whether it's providing a data-driven edge with how you're able to analyze your insights and trends and behaviors. Now, with this, what we want to ensure that we're aligned on is AI is not a replacement for people. It never has been. It's always going to be a tool that enables us. So with that, we've got a couple of examples of what AI looks like across industries. I'll pass it over to Jacob.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeremy. Really, what we like to highlight here, just to spark some ideas and interest, is that AI really drives value at your organization when you're addressing real problems. So, um, the most important piece is to be able to define that problem up front and get specific and figure out where could AI or automation fit in to alleviate the problem and give you some success. Focusing on the problem, focusing on how you can measure AI's impact there, getting tangible with the roadmap and how you would build that solution, pilot, test, and scale. And then really, once it's working, you get to enjoy the results there. So I'll walk through three examples here. The first is a Q&A with your data. The second is a document retrieval and summarization tool. And the third is an autonomous marketing agent. I'll say up front, today we're just kind of discussing and walking through these. If you're interested in seeing actual demonstrations, would love to follow up with you after. So the first one here is a concept of being able to Q&A with your data. So imagine you wanted to know why your revenue dipped last week at a specific location where you're selling products or services. Traditionally, it's a pretty time-intensive process, maybe to pull that data into Excel or to go dig through a dashboard with different filters to try to get to that answer. And you may have multiple people on your team trying to address this, or maybe you even put in a new request for a dashboard and it takes 2 to 4 weeks to get that turned around. The AI solution that we're proposing on the right-hand side uses a tool called Snowflake. They've got some AI capabilities built in, but the concept essentially is a causal analysis chatbot. So we could ask our revenue question. Snowflake Intelligence would leverage your data model that you've built in there, and you would get information back around, maybe it was due to a decrease in the number of products that were purchased by a customer who normally has some standard ordering volume. So the results here are, instead of waiting on maybe a new report to get built, you're able to get faster insights and some visuals and built-in quality control with it as well. The important part is it leverages your existing security and governance and permissions as well inside of that database platform. So really you get these faster insights there. The second example we'll highlight is the ability to query unstructured information. So a lot of businesses have information stored in Word documents, PDFs, other types of files as well. And let's imagine you wanted to know what was the most recent rate, estimate, and duration for a project or for a specific client or portfolio. If we needed to answer that question right now, we may have to go sift through a complex folder structure and pull out multiple documents, skim through to try to find the right section. So there's just a lot of time that might go into that. The AI solution we're proposing on the right-hand side, this is one example of many potential solutions, but you could leverage a secure environment of ChatGPT that's connected to your SharePoint. It would honor the permissions that you have in SharePoint already, but you'd be able to start chatting there and say, put in your question, and it would give you back relevant documents based on your question with direct links so that you can have QC confidence there. So really, you get a time savings from not having to go dig through multiple folders and documents, and you get summarizations back based on what you're asking. Okay, and the third one here is a lot of fun, actually, in our opinion. So, us being in consulting, we're always trying to work to find new partners and prospects. And traditionally, we spent a decent amount of time and money on, marketing campaigns and trying to reach new audiences. And oftentimes that research, even though we try to go through persona mappings and things like that, ends up being quite generic and often untimely in our outreach. So an AI solution we've developed internally at SVA is to leverage a set of tools that can actually automate an email outreach and make it feel a lot more personalized and warm. So we do this by leveraging buyer intent data from a tool called ZoomInfo. When a new signal comes in, like a company searching for Tableau or Power BI or generative AI, it can trigger a workflow to kick off in Zapier and then essentially draft an email using the buyer intent and some other information. And that can then move forward to an automated email tool called Limlist. So really, you get to be some of the first to outreach from a marketing perspective. You save some money and time on developing complex campaigns as well. So anyway, those are three examples that are top of mind and probably applicable across several industries. I'm seeing some fun chat questions come in there too. So anyway, we'll address some of those at the end. But Jeremy, I'll go back to you about moving from interest onto impact.
Awesome. Thanks, Jacob. So what I love about those examples is I think it starts to generate the ideas, right? If you start to have some actual examples of how organizations are using AI, whether it might be, automating your marketing campaigns or not, I think the general idea of how we leverage AI is sparks those ideas for you. Now, what I think happens is that's the end product. And so, what do we do in terms of making sure that your organization is ready to roll these out? And at SVA, we think about rolling out AI solutions in sort of four different buckets, and that's going to be starting with your people, right? So while AI is a great tool for us, it's always going to be based around us as humans, and so I think as you look to enable your people with AI, you have to assess where they're at and where their comfort level is at with AI. I think really importantly with this, you need to make sure that leadership is aligned on how you roll out the AI strategy, considering security, governance, but also how do you want your people to explore and innovate with AI? I think that really comes down to making sure that you're aligned across your leadership. The next piece of the puzzle is your processes. So as you map your key workflows and as you identify those manual, repetitive, and error-prone tasks, those are really going to be your pilot use cases for where AI can help you. Whether that's true automation or whether that's leveraging those LLM sort of knowledge bases to augment your process flows. Then your platforms. Again, as we think of your data quality and accessibility, it's really just going to be, garbage in is garbage out. So if you want good results with how you interact with AI, you're going to need to make sure that your data is going to be good and your data is going to be easily accessible with your AI models. And finally, it's everything is around the problems that you're facing. I'm sure each of you know the top 3 to 5 things that are really causing you headaches and keeping you up at night, and those are going to be the opportunities where AI can really help. And regardless of how quickly the technology develops and how the landscape of AI might change, underlying it, your business problems are still going to be there, right? And so those, we say that they're problems, really they're opportunities for us to take away the pains that you have in your organization and really automate and augment those with AI. So we see the journey itself as, I think most organizations are in this exploring stage where they know that they need to adopt AI. They're maybe using AI sporadically, but they don't have a great plan or roadmap to scale. I think where a lot of organizations are going to is implementing. So realizing that if we need AI, we need to start with pilot solutions. We need to start small, make sure that the AI solution solves the business problem. And along with that, we need to make sure that we've got the right people in place who can support as we continue to grow. Then once you see a couple pilot solutions work, you can start to scale those across your business. Create repeatable workflows in terms of how you actually roll out AI solutions and have your data and AI leaders mature and in place. You could even create some governance councils around how you're rolling out those AI um, solutions. And lastly, that really leads to your organization being able to be transforming and having your culture, your people, your processes, and really aligning with your organizational goals to have AI embed and be able to drive your competitive advantage in the marketplace. So with that, we will just end with a couple of practical next steps that we see in terms of what do you do with all of this? And I think to kickstart your AI journey, a couple of really simple things could be one, identify those champions, the people who are interested and innovative and want to keep up with really this landscape, and identify them and have them as champions. Have them really stress test different AI models, right? Have them stress test what AI can do within your organization And as they figure out what it can and can't do, I think that'll set the stage for being able to scale into prioritizing your problems and your practical AI solutions, right? So again, if you've identified a couple manual or error-prone processes that could be a candidate for automation or augmentation, then I think you start with those. Make sure that you know what it looks like in terms of making sure everything's secure, making sure that AI slots in well in terms of those different business processes. And then lastly, let that be able to sort of guide a roadmap for how you implement in the future. And again, I think that goes across your people, your processes, and your platforms, making sure all of those things have a plan on the journey of true AI enablement at scale. And at the bottom here, we say start with your operational wins to get confident. So start by educating and and really getting your people to just use AI, whether that's Copilot because you're a Microsoft shop, whether that's ChatGPT, whatever it is, just get your people to start using it because the more that they use it, the more that they'll realize what it can actually do for you. And again, I think that sparks the ideas and that sparks the really the foundation for being able to think bigger with AI. So at SVA, how we help our clients walk through this is through three steps to success. And that's first going to start with assessment. So, again, your people, processes, and platforms, let's see where they're at and let's make sure that they're ready for the journey. From there, we'll enable. So, if there are any gaps, we can help you close those gaps. And lastly, we help you deliver on those pilot solutions. Now, very specifically, we've got a couple of offerings, and really this might just help contextualize where you might be in your journey. So, if you know that you need to start adopting, but you disagree on where to start, what the value potential is, and who owns what, well, we've got an AI strategy and adoption alignment cycle, with the key goal being to fully align across your leadership teams. If you are aligned and you know that AI needs to be a part of your strategy, but you need help in terms of how do you roll that strategy out, we've got a quick start AI strategy session that includes things like organizational AI readiness surveys and on-sites to help you come away with your first 2 to 3 pilot solutions. If you already know what those solutions should be or what you think that they could be, but you need help thinking through the details or actually building them out, then we've got a couple of AI toolset build outs that we can help you do. And lastly, a lot of AI starts with pilot groups. And if you're looking to expand from those pilot groups into making sure that your whole organization feels confident of how to best leverage AI. We do have enterprise Gen AI trainings that we offer as well. So we thank you for joining us, and we hope you got a lot out of this. I think now is the time that we'll start fielding some questions. So, Katarina, do we have any questions that have come into the chat?
Yes, we have a couple of questions. So the first one is, what basic principles make an AI strategy secure and trustworthy?
Yeah, I'll answer that. And Jacob, if you've got anything else to add, then go for it. I think in terms of thinking of trustworthiness and security in your AI platforms, I think the first easiest thing is going to be know which AI tools you're using and know what tier of license you have, right? There's a ton of organizations who are scared of using AI because of very valid compliance concerns like HIPAA, obviously finance, and major organizations are using your chat GPTs, are using your copilots, and that's because the Microsofts and the open AIs have made sure that everything is compliant. So a lot of that has to do with what level of licensing that you're using, and I'd say start there. Along with that, I just consider acceptable usage policies within your organization, making sure that your people know what is safe to put into an AI solution and what isn't. And yeah, I think with those two things, you'll really have a good start. Jacob, is there anything else that you'd add there?
I think that covered it nicely. The main thing is defining with your organization what are those acceptable usage policies, and then ensuring the tool sets you are selecting and paying for are not leveraging your data or training on that as well.
Great. We have another question about all the different tools that we have out there. So, do you have any guidance on model balance? Using a single model seems to not work very well sometimes, but it's hard to know when to switch between models like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude. Do you have any advice on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you look at the landscape of the different AI models out there, um, they've all got different specialties and different things that they're going to be good at. And again, AI as a tool, I think we think of our AI landscape as a tool set. It's a very overused analogy, but really the tool set is always going to be we've got these different tools and they're really great at solving specific problems, right? So when we say problems are one of the foundations of how you think of leveraging AI solutions, I think this applies as well. Figure out what your problem is, what you're trying to solve, and then from there, go back and figure out whether a certain AI model is going to be better for solving that specific problem than another, right? Claude is going to be really great at leveraging code. If you just need a general natural language, I feel like ChatGPT, OpenAI is those models are really great for that. Other models are going to be better for deep research or learning. So I think start with your problem and then go back and figure out which model is going to be best for that. Additionally, I mean, I think once we start thinking about AI agents, a lot of what an AI agent is leveraging different models for different tasks. And so I think that's where you really start to hone in on which model is going to be best for which task or which problem that you've got. Any
Great.
other
And
questions?
I'm happy that you mentioned the agent piece because we have another question in the chat about what are agents and where do those fit into the general AI landscape?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll take this one again, Jacob. Feel free to hop in if you have. That's a great question, and I think where we see the general waves of AI is, you had AI's been around for a while in the lens of machine learning. I think we've seen generative AI explode since ChatGPT and OpenAI have come into the picture, and I think where things are moving towards is agentic AI, and really what that is. Generative AI is really great at generating based on a prompt that we give it, right? And so it makes something out of this knowledge base. Where agents come into play is not just making something, but then going and doing, right? So I think as more and more organizations get comfortable and as you see enterprise rollouts of generative AI start to establish themselves in organizations, what you're going to see is that the agents are going to be great at the combination of when we talk about automation and augmentation and generation, right? It's going to be able to help you do the things, not just give you new content, but actually go and do the things. And where that comes into play as well is there's a lot of that's going to require integration with the other tools that you have in your tool stack, right? So I think what you're going to see is people are going to start using generative AI. Again, you might be using generative AI. They're going to want to use that with their own data and with their own tool sets. And as that integration continues to happen, that's when you're going to start to get into specific agents that handle those tasks for you.
We've got another question about the third use case that Jacob shared on automation. So could you share another use case for an automation using a tool, for example, Zapier?
Sure. Yeah. Um, yeah, I think I was thinking on the agent piece as well. The last one about the marketing is in a way an agent, right? It's acting autonomously after we've done training and thorough testing there. Um, we're coming up on the end of this month, and I'm gonna have to submit my expense receipts. It would be great if I had an agent that, maybe I just need to take a picture of an expense receipt and send it to my email, and then an agent could hopefully pick that expense receipt up, automatically push it to our ERP, use some OCR technology to parse out what the expense was and log that onto the receipt claim. So that's just another idea that's practical and probably a pain point for several people. But again, it's the concept of starting with what's your problem you're trying to solve, or what are the tasks that take you 30 minutes every day that you think could be automated or have some form of intelligence placed into it. That's typically a good starting point for where you can look.
Great. Those were all the questions that we had in the chat. Once again, thank you so much for joining our webinar today. We hope you found this helpful. Before you leave, don't forget to sign up for your free 30-minute consultation to continue all the AI conversations. And we'll be hosting another webinar in December about cracking your code on AI in your business. So yeah, thank you so much for joining.